Hello again. This is part 3 of my tutorial for the Roses and Laces album, and I will be making the second page in this video. First of all, thank you so much for all of your lovely comments. It means so much to me that you like what I do. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. I'm starting out with a fresh piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut it down to 8 1/4 of an inch by 8 1/4 of an inch. I'm then going to find my scoreboard and my envelope tool. I'm not actually sure if it's envelope or envelope. Please let me know in the comments. I also have absolutely no idea if I'm using this tool correctly, but again, please let me know in the comments. I'm laying the corners across from each other at 9 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm scoring where the tool says to score. But if you don't have one of these tools, you just score it at 6.5. And then you're going to move 1/8 of an inch to the left and score again. And then you just repeat it all the way around. I'm then gonna punch out what is the opposite of corners? Anyway, I have a punch for this, but if you don't have a punch, you could just use your scissors and cut it out. You just have to cut at the score lines closest to the middle of the envelope. I am then going to fold it at the square lines. Now, when you have square lines this close to each other, it can be a little difficult. So I'm gonna start with the inner line. And I'm not using my bone folder for this because you don't want it too sharp. And then I am gonna push it until it automatically folds in the other line. And I'm gonna do the same with the other ones. I'm so sorry about the bad lighting. I know that the lamp in my media mat is a little annoying, but my husband got me much better lighting for Christmas, and he helped me set it up. So for my next videos, my media mat shouldn't be so mirrory. So now I have an envelope with a little dimension, and then I just need to cover it. I'm gonna use the left half from sheet number 1. And I'm using my paper trimmer to cut it. I am gonna use the piece at the bottom inside of the envelope. And I'm gonna cut it down to 5 3/4 of an inch by 5 3/4 of an inch. I'm gonna use this piece to cover the outside of the envelope, so I'm not gonna put it too far away. I've laid my paper with the back side up, and I'm gonna make a frame to go around my envelope. So I am measuring 1/4 of an inch from the edge all the way around. And I'm being careful not to go over my measurements because I want the frame to be in one piece. So I now have a frame to go around the envelope, and I have a piece to go inside the envelope. And this piece should now measure 5 1/8 of an inch by 5 1/8 of an inch. And I'm inking the edges of the frame. And I'm being really careful not to tear it apart. And then I'm inking the edges of the other piece. And then I'm gonna glue it into the envelope. And right here, my glue clogged up, and that is why I always have an extra. I'm making sure to put it in the middle. And then I'm going in with my cloth to make sure that there's no air bubbles or excess glue. I'm now going to round up the corners with my corner punch. And I am using the biggest one. I believe that it is 10 millimeters. And now I am gonna find the last piece of sheet number 1, and I'm gonna use it to cover up the outside of the envelope. I am cutting it down to 6 inches by 6 inches, and then I am cutting it into small triangles. like so. I am going in with my corner punch again, but this time I am using the 7mm. And the pieces do go a little over the edge, but I am gonna cut them down when I am done with the corners. Now this can be a little tricky because you don't have anything to put the edge up against. But I'm trying to use the small squares on the cutter to guide me. And I'm laying the triangle so that the round corner is just touching the line at 2 3/4 of an inch. And I'm also gonna cut off the pointy tips. So I am laying the tip at 5 3/8 of an inch and then turning it around and cutting it at 5 inches. And I am inking the edges on all of the pieces. And when I'm done with that, I'm gonna find the 2 small magnets. I'm placing a little piece of squirt tape where I want my magnet to be. And it's important to make sure that the top of the envelope covers the magnet completely. And then I can glue on my paper. Notice how I laid all of the pieces so that I know which piece goes where. And then I'm going in with my cloth and being careful around the magnet. And now I just need to glue on the other pieces. And I'm making sure that I put the right pieces on the right flaps. As you can see, I'm kind of puzzling them back together. So I'll almost have the full image back when the envelope is closed. But of course they will be overlapping just a bit. So now I'm gonna add the second magnet. And I am just placing it on top of the other one. And I am placing a little piece of squirt tape where the magnet is going to be. And then I'm just closing the envelope and then the magnet should stick to the tape. I'm only adding a little bit of pressure. And now I just need to cover all the flaps on the inside. And I am using sheet number 10. It's the one with all of the tags. And I'm gonna use the top left corner of the back side. So first I am gonna cut it in half at 6 inches. Then turning my piece and cutting again at 6 inches. Then I'm gonna do exactly like before and cut it into triangles. Punch all the corners with the 7mm. Laying the round corner at 2 3/4 of an inch and cutting off the edge. Then placing the pointed tip at 5 3/8 of an inch. Then flipping the pieces around and cutting again at 5 inches. Remember to ink the edges. These pieces are very similar to each other, so the order isn't as important this time. And I am just randomly gluing them on. And going in with my cloth to take off the excess glue. And then I'm almost done. I just need to put it into the album. And I'm gonna start with the frame. So I am adding my square tape. It's exactly as wide as the frame. So that is perfect. And I am gonna go in with my bone folder and burnish. Be super careful not to tear your frame, especially when you're taking off all of these and placing it in the album. It can be a little difficult to get it straight because it is really thin. But the important thing is just that it's stuck and not coming off. And now I'm gonna place the envelope in the frame, and I am gonna use my score tape, and this is a little easier if you open up the envelope. I'm adding the pieces as close to the score line as possible. Now, before I am done with this, I just quickly want to say that I uploaded a video where I explain why I used all of the magnets in the hinge system. So please go watch the video. I hope that you can see the idea behind it. And also, if you have any other questions, please let me know in the comments and I will try my best to answer. So now that I've added my glue, I am just carefully placing it in the center of the page. And here's my head again. And now that it's in the right place, I'm gonna take my bone folder and I'm gonna make sure to burnish every little bit. We don't want this to get loose, so make sure you don't miss anything. Now I'm just gonna close the envelope and page 2 is finished. For my next video, I'm gonna make the third page. I hope you're enjoying my tutorial. Thank you for watching.